So tonight the theme is primal instincts. And I had to think about that for a minute to kind of think about what exactly that means. So to me, primal instinct means acting without thinking. You get put into a situation and you just automatically react. And so I had to think about what kind of stories do I have that would fit this topic. I think about, you hear these stories about a mom who's trying to save her child and she all of a sudden finds the strength and lifts a car. Yeah, okay, I haven't actually done that. I'm not a mother. But I do have a couple of stories that I think fit this topic. So the first one, it does involve a car and me in a car, a giant Ford Escalade. And I don't know if you truly know what that looks like, but if you've watched a lot of rap videos, you would have seen these giant Ford Escalades that the rappers are always driving in, drinking their gin and juice or whatever. And so my aunt happened to have a car like this. She was driving me, I was visiting her in Oakland, California, which is, rapper's haven. And so everybody has an Escalade out in Oakland. And we were driving somewhere, and she lives on this road that is, it's like a hill, and the bottom of the road leads to a cliff. And if you can go and you can stand out, you can see all of Oakland. So it's really beautiful, just a beautiful view. So she was driving me to the gym, of all places. And we had my cousin at the time, who was probably a year or so, sitting in the child seat in the back. Now, my aunt is a very, what's the right word? She's a bit of a shit stirrer, if you will. She's always trying to get into other people's business. She's driving down the road, I can't believe they did this to their garden, blah, 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 blah. She's got to get out, she's got to go tell someone off, and, constantly telling people, you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong. She's always in everybody's business, right? So, she's taking me to the gym. We've got my little baby cousin in the back seat, and she sees something in a flower bed in her neighbor's yard. I don't know. She's just going off about it. She's gonna go and she's gonna stop the car and go and tell him, oh, you need to change this or whatever. So she goes to get out of the car, and instead of putting the car in park, I'm not exactly sure what she actually did. She just, it has a handbrake on the side of the steering wheel. And so she moved that handbrake into some position, goes to get out of the car, but she doesn't put the car in park. And so the car starts rolling down the back of the street towards this cliff. And she falls out. I'm buckled, sitting in the passenger seat, and I just kind of, watch as everything goes into this slow motion, and she's falling out of the car, and my baby cousin is in the back seat, and we're rolling towards the back of this cliff. And the next thing I knew, I was sitting in the driver's seat, holding the steering wheel with my foot on the brake. We were at the back of the cliff, almost about to go off it. I have no idea how it happened. I don't remember it happening. I don't remember unbuckling myself and jumping over this giant console that probably was about to hear on me, like right at my chest. Don't remember it. I just remember being in the driver's seat with my foot on the gas, or my foot on the brake, sorry, not on the gas, foot on the brake, the car was sitting at the bottom of the road, my cousin was just cooing in the back, and everybody had run out of the house because they all saw the car roll down to the bottom of the hill. We survived, we lived. That was the first primal instinct story that I have. Now, the second one is a bit more of I'm gonna call it a motherly instinct. I used to live in California, and my parents came to visit me one year, and we took a trip down to San Diego to watch whale watching, because that's what you do in San Diego, right? So we had gone on this boat, and it was really choppy water, and a lot of people were getting seasick and throwing up off the side of the boat. I've had some issues with seasickness in my life, so I was just kind of sitting somewhere, just like, well, let's just hope I don't get sick. And so there were lots of German exchange students, and they were all hurling off the back of the boat. So I didn't want to be anywhere near them because I was like, if I see that, I might get sick. So I'm sitting with my parents, and I just look over and I see this little girl, and she's sitting with her mom, and her mom is just really, chatty, like, oh, honey, let's go do this, and let's look at this, and we're going to see some whales, are we excited about this? And this little girl's just kind of sitting there, and as I'm watching her, her face is just kind of slowly going green. And I'm just thinking, oh, that doesn't look too good. and my parents were like, oh, what are we gonna do after this? This is, you know, a good time. So we're kind of having our own little conversation, but I'm still just watching this poor little girl out of the side of my eye. And then all of a sudden, the boat hits some choppy water, and it kind of bounces up a little bit, and I see this little girl run to the side. And I don't know how I did this, but I immediately ran to the front. I got 2 tissues, not 1, but 2, and I asked to have one wet, so the bartender made it wet. And then I went over and I held her hair back as she threw up over the side of the boat. And her mother just kind of sat there stunned because she didn't realize what was happening, but here I am just helping this little girl. And I consider this my mother instinct sort of kicking in. And then, you know, I gave her the wet cloth to wipe her face and then the dry cloth to wipe that off. And she was completely, you know, shocked because she's like 12 and she's sitting here throwing up in front of people. And all I could think was, I just need to help you. And so after that ride, when we got back to shore and we walked off, she came up and she said thanks. And her mom was like, how did you even know to do that? And I said, I have no idea. I did, and I was just there. So those are my 2 stories.